Gun to your head, name 3 cars made in 2025 that are memorable and great. Boom, you're done. Sure, I only gave you like 2 seconds, but I got a video to make and retention to think about. However, this is a real issue. Let's try this again. Gun to your head, name 3 cars in the 90s that are memorable and great. You see the issue? I'm 100% sure you could easily name those 3, yet when it comes to 2025, everyone struggles because there really isn't anything great. Sure, the Mustang GTD is nice, and yeah, maybe the ZR1X falls under the same category, and not to mention of course the hypercars, but it was different before. We went from having decent economy cars that were still fun, to having cars charge us $20 a month just to be able to drive its top speed. There is a fundamental problem with cars today, and it needs to be fixed. If I told you why modern cars are dog shit and didn't tell you why cars made in previous eras are not, people would decide that my head belongs on a pike and that I'm pro old car and anti new car, when in reality I just want good cars. So here's a Volkswagen Corrado from the 90s, and here's a Volkswagen ID3 from 2025. I know for a fact that a good chunk of you guys will find the ID3 better looking, which is highly questionable, but I won't question it.
I'll get you, bitch!
But the simple fact is, the Corrado is simpler. There's no tech on board that will limit your top speed. Hell, there's barely any tech on board compared to the ID3. But then again, only people with quick attention spans require 4 screens in a car. Like, pay attention to the road, you've got a live stream in front of you, you don't need to watch Christ and not sleeping. Back to looks, and this is the most generic design around. It's safe, and that's that. Here's an ID3, here's a BYD Seagull, a Cupra Born, and a Megane E-Tech. Sure, they may not look alike, but they sure as hell don't look different. Let me explain why. You see, once you find a formula that works, you tend to kinda just spam that formula. It applies to all aspects of life. That's what car brands have done. They've seen what works and what sells, so they continue to spam us with generic vehicles. But if we say we don't like it, why do they keep making it? Timmy, you and I are car enthusiasts. Let me visualize our numbers. That is the issue. At one point, car brands only listened to us. Now we don't matter because our sales numbers get trampled by nerds buying crossovers from Minnesota or some shit. Now, compare this to the cars in the 90s when car brands didn't really have a set formula and were ready to experiment with the knowledge they had. The cars that were being cooked up were insanely good. You got a date with the woman of your dreams coming up. You've got 2 cars to choose from. Number 1, a Tesla. Number 2, the Dogmobile.
Bro, what the?
Fact you can't make an immediate decision proves one thing. Modern cars ain't shit, and yes, that's a stretch, but you have to understand something. If I swapped the Model 3 Performance out for an Evo 8, a car that would be worth the same, and has similar performance, similar specs, similar power, price, whatnot, that decision becomes so much easier, doesn't it? You get where I'm going with this? I'm not saying old cars are better than new cars. I'm saying they're miles better because they just have soul, character, and are generally more desirable. Listen, this isn't to throw shade on the Model 3 Performance either. Let me change that with a Mustang Mach-E. What's the difference? How about a BYD Seal? What's the difference? Or maybe an i4? What's the difference? I'm sure eventually a car would come up that you'd rather pick over the Dovemobile. But again, any other era except the oil crisis era, come on now. Any other era and the Dovemobile is blown out of the water. Instantly, that is. But you want to know what the Dovemobile is probably better at than modern cars? Quality. Let's say you're a baker and you bake bread. Your bread has become world renowned. People love it and it's absolutely delicious. You love it because it makes you money. But as the baker, you realize that you can make a lot more money if you just keep adding that little ingredient over there. No one's gonna know and you're gonna make a lot more money. And while you're at it, how about you make it a bit quicker so you could sell more? But if you want to sell more, might as well get a robot to do it, right? Skip the quality control and whatnot. And that is what car brands did. They started making bread. To maximize profits, brands found little things here and there they could cheapen, and I'm sure it started off innocently enough, like some trim at the bottom no one would touch, or some trim here and there that is literally pointless. Till it went to the stuff people actually touch and use, such as the wheel, the buttons, to tragedy. So much so that even Audi has admitted to a slip-up in quality. But I'll be honest with you right now. This stuff doesn't bother me nearly as much as the f***ing form over function approach every single brand is taking. Let me explain. The term form over function is a type of design philosophy where the aesthetics or looks are prioritized over its practicality or purpose. My biggest complaint? Climate control. I live in a country that has this weather, so if my car is cooking outside for like 6 hours and I return, I have to burn myself on every surface I touch while I slowly roast alive like the meat for a shawarma on a spit as I navigate through 5 billion options just to turn the AC to the max. You see what I mean? Sure, it looks like minimalistic and clean to have cars without buttons, but it ruins the very function of it. Okay, let's say you don't live in a hot climate and this isn't your worry. You're in luck. Instead of being grilled alive like a rotisserie chicken, you'll have your soul snatched by a rogue wheel because you were too busy trying to get your climate control to 20.5 instead of 21 and didn't see what's in front of you. Alright, yes, I am ranting. But there's also something else that has, in my opinion, ruined cars, and it's not nearly as talked about, because people like talking about it elsewhere.
The experience is Nissan Murano with CVT.
And again, I know a lot of you are getting into cars and still learning, so let me help you out here and explain what a CVT is. CVT stands for continuously variable transmissions, or can violently torture the owner's mental sanity. A normal transmission goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yada yada yada. You shift gears. What the CVT does is shift gear ratios. Oh, Torquia, what's the difference? So it's got 2 pulleys and a belt or chain. Drive pulley connected to the engine and the driven pulley connected to the wheels. When the drive pulley gets smaller and the driven gets bigger, you'll get a lower ratio, thus more torque for acceleration.
Wow.
Flip that and you get a higher ratio, thus efficient to cruise around. Pulling means no stops, thus it's smooth and no shifts, which sounds great, right? Until it explodes, because that is the destiny written for every CVT. Don't worry, I'll get into it in another video. But the CVT also saves us money, which is important because money allows you to exchange Benjamins for Mao Zedongs and pay said Mao Zedongs to a sweatshop who will make a gorilla couch for you. It's also great to market, right? Unsuspecting family walks into the dealership and the sales dude starts dropping big ass words like carbon emissions, fuel efficiency, torque, continuously variable transmission, and before they know it, they've walked out with something that will probably explode if given enough time. But beyond this facade of saving fuel is a very ugly truth. A CVT kills the car's soul. The no gear change part? Yeah, there's no sound, it's just whine. No gear shift, no jerking, no nothing. Oh wow. Pretty much, you've got an EV without it being electric. It should be mentioned, Toyota's CVTs aren't as bad, and Honda's are also okay-ish, but still, they're not something I personally find fascinating. Did you notice something? With every passing point I made, things got more and more complicated, to the point I'm explaining transmission systems to you. I did that for a reason. Because I'm so smart, oh my god. Because cars have continued to evolve and get better in many ways. But at what point does getting better and better lead to it getting worse and worse? Strange, right? But it's true, and that's how it works. Because to make cars better, you gotta add more things, innovate, change things around, which then all adds to the vehicle's complexity. Just because cars have become so complex today to meet emissions regulations, tech demands, whatever, they become harder to work on. But then again, who would even want to work on something like this? What's in it for me as a car enthusiast? What can I possibly do with it? Swap it out for a car from the 90s and ask yourself the same thing, and suddenly, your world just opens up. Many of you don't realize it, but the era of good cars has passed us. Sure, you can get a good car today if you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. Your good might be my bad, my good might be your bad. Tastes vary, and that's totally fine. But just know, the era of cars being fun, unique, and enjoyable has passed us, and we spend time finding anything that might just be a little different to the crowd. You might be wondering why it took 2 months to post. I'll show you. I will catch you guys soon. Okay, real talk, he isn't actually the reason why it took so long. He's just a street cat. His name is Mahito. He's pretty cute, but he's very dumb because he keeps fighting with other cats that want to be fed because he's a fucking fat ass. Now, the reason why it took so long is because I'm working on something. What I'm working on, I can't tell you. You're gonna have to wait and see. Just trust me, it's pretty cool. So you just have to wait and see. It's like investing in Apple when Apple was in a garage, or it's like investing in Bitcoin when it was at $1. Just think of it like that and just trust me. Also, I know my last post on Instagram was like 6-7 months ago, so I created a new one where I'll probably post a little more frequently. You should follow that because
It'll be a long time before you ever see me again.